Hello, everyone. Today I want to share something really important with you, something that might completely change how you think about learning English. Are you tired of studying grammar rules for hours? Are you frustrated because you understand English when you read it, but you can't speak it naturally? Well, I have good news for you. There's a better way to learn English, and it's the same way you learned your first language as a child. Think about this for a moment. When you were a baby, did your parents give you grammar books? Did they make you memorize vocabulary lists? Of course not. You learned your native language naturally, without stress, without pressure. You listened, you tried to speak, you made mistakes, and slowly you got better. This is exactly how you should learn English too. I know what you're thinking. You might say, but I'm an adult now, not a child. It's different. Yes, you're right that your brain works differently now, but the basic principles of language learning haven't changed. Your brain is still amazing at picking up patterns and sounds. You just need to use it in the right way. Let me tell you a story. I once met a woman named Maria from Mexico. She had been studying English grammar for 5 years. She could write perfect essays, she knew all the tenses, she could explain the difference between present perfect and past perfect better than many native speakers. But when I tried to have a simple conversation with her about the weather, she froze. She couldn't speak naturally. She was thinking too much about grammar rules instead of just communicating. Then Maria decided to try something different. She stopped studying grammar books. Instead, she started watching English TV shows every day, not with subtitles in her language, but with English subtitles. She started talking to herself in English while cooking dinner. She found English-speaking friends online and had simple conversations with them. She made lots of mistakes, but she didn't worry about it. She just kept talking. What happened? In just 6 months, Maria became more fluent than she had been after 5 years of grammar study. She could have natural conversations. She could express her thoughts and feelings. She could joke and laugh in English. Why? Because she started learning like a child again. So what does it mean to learn like a child? First, children learn by listening a lot before they speak. When you were young, you listened to your parents, your family, people around you for months before you said your first word. You were absorbing the language, getting used to the sounds, the rhythm, the melody of your native language. But what do most English learners do? They try to speak immediately without enough listening practice. It's like trying to play the piano without ever hearing music. You need to fill your ears with English first. Listen to podcasts while you're walking. Watch English videos while you're eating breakfast. Play English music while you're cleaning your house. The more you listen, the more natural English will start to sound to you. Children also learn by copying what they hear. They don't create original sentences right away. They repeat what their parents say. They copy the phrases they hear over and over. There's no shame in this. Copying is how we learn everything in life. You learn to write by copying letters. You learn to drive by copying your instructor. So why would language learning be different? Find phrases that native speakers use often and repeat them until they become automatic. Don't worry about understanding every single word at first. Just get comfortable with the sounds and the rhythm. For example, instead of learning the grammar rule for used to, just practice saying, I used to live in Japan, or I used to play tennis until it feels natural. Another important thing about children is that they're not afraid to make mistakes. Have you ever heard a 3-year-old speak? They make mistakes all the time. They might say, I go to the store instead of I went to the store. Do their parents get angry? No, they gently correct them and the child tries again. Making mistakes is part of learning. But adult English learners are so afraid of making mistakes. They don't want to sound stupid. They don't want people to judge them. So they stay quiet, they don't practice speaking, and they never improve. This fear is your biggest enemy. You must get comfortable with making mistakes. Every mistake you make helps your brain understand English better. I remember when I was learning Spanish. I was so embarrassed about my pronunciation. I would avoid speaking because I didn't want to sound silly. But then I realized something important. Native speakers don't expect you to be perfect. They're usually happy that you're trying to speak their language. They want to help you. When you make a mistake and someone corrects you, that's not criticism. That's a gift. They're helping you learn. Children also learn in context. They don't learn isolated words from a dictionary. They learn words as part of real situations. When a mother says, "Put on your shoes," the child learns the word shoes because they can see the shoes, they understand the action, they know what's happening. The word has meaning because it's connected to real life. This is why memorizing vocabulary lists doesn't work well. When you learn the word beautiful from a list, it's just a word floating in your mind. But when you learn it by hearing someone say, "What a beautiful sunset," while you're both watching a gorgeous sunset, the word becomes part of your experience. It has emotion, it has context, it has life. So how can you create context for your English learning? Live your life in English as much as possible. Change your phone settings to English. Think in English when you're walking to work. Describe what you see around you in English. If you see a dog, don't just think dog. Think, there's a cute brown dog playing in the park. Make English part of your daily life, not just something you study in a classroom. Children are also incredibly persistent, but they don't think of it as work. They play with language. They sing songs, they tell stories, they ask endless questions. Learning is fun for them. But adults often make language learning feel like hard work, like punishment. No wonder so many people give up. You need to find ways to make English fun for yourself. If you love cooking, watch English cooking shows. If you're interested in fashion, follow English fashion bloggers. If you enjoy sports, listen to English sports commentary. When you connect English with things you already love, learning becomes enjoyable instead of stressful. Let me share another important point about children. They focus on communication first, accuracy later. A child might point at a cookie and say, "Want cookie?" They're not using perfect grammar, but they're communicating effectively. Their message is clear. As they get older and hear more correct English, their grammar naturally improves. Many English learners do the opposite. They focus so much on being accurate that they forget to communicate. They spend 5 minutes trying to create the perfect sentence in their head, and by that time, the conversation has moved on. It's much better to say something simple and imperfect than to say nothing at all. Remember, the goal of language is communication, not perfection. If you can make yourself understood, you're succeeding. If someone understands that you want coffee when you say, "I want coffee, please," that's successful communication, even if you didn't use the most advanced vocabulary or perfect grammar structure. Now, let's talk about something really important. Children learn languages in a stress-free environment. They're not worried about tests or grades. They're not comparing themselves to other children. They're just naturally absorbing language day by day. But adult learners often put enormous pressure on themselves. They want to be fluent in 6 months. They compare themselves to other learners. They get frustrated when progress seems slow. This pressure and stress actually makes learning harder. When you're anxious, your brain doesn't work as well. You can't remember words, You can't think clearly, you can't speak naturally. You need to create a relaxed, positive environment for your English learning. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small victories. If you learned one new expression today, that's progress. If you had a 5-minute conversation with a native speaker, that's amazing. Don't focus on how far you still have to go. Focus on how far you've already come. Children also learn through repetition, but natural repetition, not boring drill exercises. They hear the same stories over and over, they sing the same songs repeatedly, they play the same games many times. Each time, they understand a little bit more. You can apply this to your English learning. Find content you enjoy and consume it multiple times. Watch your favorite English movie several times. Listen to the same podcast episode twice. Read the same article multiple times over several days. Each time, you'll notice new words, new expressions, new details you missed before. This repetition helps move English from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. But here's something many people don't realize about children. They have thousands of hours of input before they become fluent. Think about it. A child hears their native language all day, every day, for years before they can have complex conversations. They accumulate thousands and thousands of hours of listening practice. Most adult English learners don't give themselves enough input. They might study English for 1 or 2 hours a week and expect to become fluent quickly. That's not realistic. You need massive amounts of input. You need to surround yourself with English as much as possible. I understand that you might not live in an English-speaking country. I understand that you might have a job, a family, responsibilities. But in today's world, English is everywhere. You can listen to English podcasts during your commute. You can watch English videos during lunch break. You can change your social media to English. You can find English-speaking friends online. You can create an English environment wherever you are. Let me tell you about another student I knew. His name was Chen, and he lived in a small city in China where nobody spoke English. But Chen was determined to learn. He started listening to English radio while he worked. He joined online English conversation groups. He changed all his entertainment to English. He started thinking in English. He even talked to his cat in English. Chen's family thought he was crazy. But after 2 years of surrounding himself with English, he was fluent enough to get a job with an international company. He created his own English environment, even though he never left his hometown. Now, I want to address something important. Some people think that learning like a child means you don't need to study grammar at all. That's not completely true. Grammar is important, but it should be learned naturally, in context, not as abstract rules. When children learn grammar, they don't learn rules first. They learn patterns. They notice that native speakers say, "I am going," not "I am go." They hear these patterns so often that they become automatic. Then, much later, they might learn the grammar rule in school, but by that time, they already know how to use the grammar correctly. You can do the same thing. Instead of memorizing grammar rules, pay attention to patterns in the English you hear and read. Notice how native speakers use different tenses. Notice the word order in questions. Notice how they connect ideas. Your brain is excellent at recognizing patterns if you give it enough examples. For instance, instead of studying all the rules about the present perfect tense, just listen to how native speakers use it. You'll hear things like, "I've never been to Australia." "Have you finished your homework?" "She's lived here for 5 years." After hearing hundreds of examples, you'll start to feel when the present perfect is the right choice, even if you can't explain the grammar rule. Let's also talk about pronunciation. Children learn pronunciation by imitating the people around them. They don't learn phonetic symbols or tongue positions. They just copy what they hear. This is why children who grow up in different regions have different accents. They're copying the sounds they hear most often. You can improve your pronunciation the same way. Find native speakers whose pronunciation you admire and imitate them. Don't worry about learning complex pronunciation rules. Just listen carefully and try to copy the sounds, the rhythm, and the intonation. Record yourself speaking and compare it to native speakers. With practice, your pronunciation will naturally improve. I also want to talk about the importance of play in language learning. Children learn through play. They make up songs, they tell silly stories, they play word games. Play makes learning memorable and fun. But most adult language learning is very serious and boring. Try to bring more play into your English learning. Make up funny sentences using new vocabulary. Create stories with the grammar patterns you're learning. Sing English songs, even if you're not a good singer. Play word games with English-speaking friends. When learning is fun, your brain remembers better, and you stay motivated longer. Another childlike quality that helps with language learning is curiosity. Children ask questions constantly. What's that? Why? How? They're not embarrassed to show that they don't know something. They're genuinely curious about the world around them. Be curious about English. When you hear a new word or expression, don't just ignore it. Ask yourself, what does that mean? How is it used? Can I use it in my own sentences? Look it up, find examples, try using it yourself. Curiosity keeps your brain active and engaged. Let me share one more important insight about children. They learn holistically, which means they learn language as a complete system, not in separate pieces. They don't study listening on Monday, speaking on Tuesday, reading on Wednesday, and writing on Thursday. They use all these skills together, naturally, as part of communication. Many English courses separate these skills, but in real life, they're all connected. When you have a conversation, you're listening and speaking at the same time. When you write an email, you might need to read information first. Try to practice English in ways that combine multiple skills, just like children do. For example, watch an English video, then discuss it with a friend, then write your thoughts about it in a journal. This uses listening, speaking, and writing together. It's more natural and more effective than practicing each skill separately. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this sounds good, but I'm an adult with responsibilities. I can't just play with language all day like a child. You're absolutely right. Adult life is different, but you can still apply these childlike principles to your busy schedule. You don't need hours of extra time. You can listen to English during activities you're already doing. You can practice speaking while you're alone. You can think in English during moments when your mind is free. The key is consistency, not quantity. 15 minutes of daily English practice is better than 3 hours once a week. Also, remember that as an adult, you have some advantages that children don't have. You have life experience, you understand complex concepts, you can make connections between your native language and English. You can use these adult advantages while still maintaining a childlike approach to learning. For instance, you can understand cultural references that children might miss. You can appreciate humor and subtle meanings. You can have deeper conversations about topics that interest you. Use your adult knowledge and interests to make English learning more meaningful and relevant to your life. Let me give you some practical steps to start learning English like a child. First, commit to listening to English every single day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Find content that's slightly below your current level so you can understand most of it without stress. Don't worry about understanding every word. Just let the English wash over you, like background music. Second, start speaking to yourself in English every day. Describe what you're doing, what you see, what you think. Don't worry about making mistakes. Nobody is judging you. This helps your brain get comfortable with producing English sounds and words. Third, find opportunities for real communication in English. This could be online conversation partners, English-speaking friends, or even just commenting on English social media posts. The key is authentic communication, not just academic exercises. Fourth, make mistakes without fear. Every time you make a mistake, you're learning. Every time you don't understand something, you're growing. Embrace the messy, imperfect process of language learning. Fifth, be patient with yourself. Children don't become fluent overnight, and neither will you. But if you stay consistent and keep a positive attitude, you will make steady progress. Remember, learning English like a child doesn't mean being childish. It means being open, curious, playful, and persistent. It means focusing on communication over perfection. It means learning through experience rather than just memorization. Many of my students have transformed their English by adopting this approach. They stopped obsessing over grammar rules and started having real conversations. They stopped memorizing vocabulary lists and started learning words through stories and experiences. They stopped being afraid of mistakes and started seeing them as learning opportunities. The result: they became more confident, more fluent, and more natural English speakers. They started enjoying English instead of feeling stressed about it. They realized that English isn't just a subject to study, it's a tool for communication, connection, and discovery. I want you to try this approach for the next month. Stop studying English and start living it. Surround yourself with English input. Practice speaking without worrying about perfection. Be curious, be playful, be patient. Treat every interaction in English as a chance to learn and grow. You might be surprised by how much progress you make when you stop trying so hard to be perfect and start trying to communicate. Your brain already knows how to learn languages. You've learned your native language perfectly when you were a child. Trust that same natural ability now. English learning doesn't have to be painful or stressful. It can be enjoyable, natural, and effective. All you need to do is remember how you learned your first language and apply those same principles to English. Listen a lot, speak without fear, learn through context, make mistakes happily, and be patient with your progress. The child inside you still knows how to learn languages. It's time to let that child guide your English learning journey. Stop studying like a student and start learning like a child. Your English speaking skills will thank you for it. I hope this message has inspired you to try a new approach to English learning. Remember, every native English speaker was once a child who learned the language naturally, without stress, without pressure, just through exposure and practice. You have that same natural ability inside you. Trust it, use it, and watch your English transform. Good luck with your English learning journey. Remember to be patient, be consistent, and most importantly, have fun. English is not just a language to study, it's a language to live. Start living it today.